What the? Jeez. Let's crank up to 80% and we're just barely moving.
Hi, Scott from whoppingtrollfin.com. I love to fish. We have very long and cold winters here in Wisconsin, so when summer rolls around and I have the opportunity to fish, I want to be on the water all day, 10, 12, 15 hours. Some of my favorite fishing experiences involve camping on National Forest campgrounds where you don't have electricity. If you want to do that for a day or two, that's fine. If you want to go longer than that, I love to go for a week at a crack. You need to keep yourself in supply of DC energy. Over the years, I have gone the route of having multiple sets of batteries, lugging a generator around. That all takes a lot of time and effort, swapping batteries.
I'd rather be fishing.
Time that I could be fishing, enjoying my time away. The past couple of off seasons, I have researched ways to make my fishing boat more efficient in a goal to become self-sustaining. We use a two-prong approach to that. Since the trolling motor is typically the biggest energy hog on a fishing boat, we looked at ways to reduce the amount of energy that it required to do its job. And then we need to resupply energy. So let's take a minute and take a look at the energy demands of our fishing boat.
Two 9-inch locators, a 12-inch locator, and live sonar. I like to listen to the radio when we're fishing, keep our cell phones charged. 24-volt bow mount trolling motor.
It's an 18-foot aluminum deep V fishing boat. There's hundreds and thousands of boats out there just like it. What makes ours different is it does not require electricity throughout the season.
A lot of times when I tell people that we have a boat that we could go out all day and have full power at the end of the day and not have to recharge the next day, they immediately think we have lithium batteries. No.
To provide power for everything, we have a Group 27 cranking battery, a Group 27 24-volt bank in the rod locker.
The budget-friendly sealed lead acid batteries. I'm not going to bash lithium. Lithium has tremendous advantages. Very lightweight, holds a charge a lot longer, more life cycles of discharge and recharge. But it can be expensive. I have heard of some insurance companies dropping policyholders if they put lithium batteries in their boat or increasing their premiums. For us, we already had these batteries in good working order. We just look for components to extend their runtime, put energy back in, and it's all integrated into how we fish. We didn't need to invest a big dollar amount into new batteries and waste the batteries we already had. So the answer to longer runtime on the water doesn't have to be lithium.
A product we like for reducing the amount of energy our trolling motor needs to do its job is a Kipwa performance prop. Notice it has 3 blades instead of 2. The manufacturer claims that you get more speed at lower thrusts. We have done some time and speed tests, and at 30% thrust, we were getting 17% more speed with the Kipwa prop. At 60% thrust, we were getting 29% more speed. We've got a complete recap of our testing on that on the channel. We came across the Kipwa props when we were looking for a spare prop for the trolling motor, and really reading reviews. There's mixed reviews on it, just like anything else. But it was $10 more than a stock prop, and we wanted a spare. We figured, well, if it helps out our cause, we'll go that route. Now, we don't slow troll a whole lot. If that's something you do, that may be something you would want to take a look at with the Kipwa props. We were more interested in the spot locking, general casting aspects, in just using less energy to do that throughout the course of our fishing day. The next product we like for reducing the amount of energy our trolling motor needs is called Alpha. Alpha was developed to reduce the amount of energy your trolling motor needs to do its job, but it also has attributes to it that help with boat control. We'll show you a little bit about the boat control aspects, but we're going to focus on the energy saving. Now, to put energy back into our trolling motor batteries, we have an AC charger that came on the boat when we bought it. 3 banks for the trolling motor batteries and the cranking battery, but it doesn't help you off grid. It doesn't help you have more power at the end of an individual day on the water. So a couple seasons ago, we added a DC charger from Stealth. The way this charger works is when your outboard is running, it's charging your cranking battery. The Stealth will take the excess voltage once your cranking battery is charged and put it into your trolling motor batteries. It will up convert your voltage to 24 or 36 volts, whatever your system is set up for. When we were researching the different DC charging units out on the market, a few things about the Stealth system stood out as benefits for us. First off, it's modular. You can add components to fit your needs. We have the DC unit. You can stack that on top of an AC charger. Stealth also offers a towing harness, which would connect to your vehicle. So when you're transporting to and from the body of water, it'll put charge back in your trolling motor batteries using the excess voltage from your vehicle. It's very simple. You don't need to tear into your outboards to hook it up. It just goes right onto the terminals on your cranking battery, and the other end goes on to your trolling motor batteries. Budget under $500 for the DC charger with a digital gauge. The digital gauge allows us to monitor the health of our cranking battery and our trolling motor batteries while we're on the water. A key aspect to why we went with the Stealth system is we sometimes troll using the kicker motor for our speed and the trolling motor for our headings. And the Stealth has circuitry built in to protect your trolling motor so you can charge the trolling motor batteries while you are using the trolling motor. Not everybody out there has circuitry built in like that. So that was a big factor, probably the deciding factor for us.
As a way to test how much these components affect runtime, we will use a charger like the one in the picture. Shortly after hooking this up to your batteries, it displays the voltage remaining and also a percentage of charge remaining. We have compared the voltage readouts that this charger gives to other instruments, and it has proven to be accurate.
Let's start seeing what this system can do for us with a segment all about having more power available to you at the end of a long fishing day. We're going to be fishing on a tributary to the Great Lakes. It's early season here in Wisconsin. We have snow melting, runoff making its way to these tributary rivers, creating a lot of current. We also have a lot of wind. These are conditions where you need a lot of power to maintain your positioning. So we're going to divide this segment up into 2 fishing sessions on this day. The first session, we're going to put 4 hours of runtime on our trolling motor, and we're going to have the Stealth charging system turned off. We're just going to go out and fish in the current, out of the current, in the wind, out of the wind. Just mix it up hit the spots that we like to fish this early in the season. We'll also give you just a small example of what alpha can do for you when you are in current from a spot locking standpoint, and how it can help stabilize your fishing platform.
This is typically what happens when you spot lock in current. Watch the trolling motor as it works left and right, back and forth to maintain position, and that motion is transferred to your fishing boat. Now we've come back to that same location and spot locked with the alpha installed. And notice the trolling motor, it'll make small adjustments here and there, but nowhere near as much left to right cycling. So less motion transferred to your fishing boat, giving you a much more stable platform.
After this 4-hour session, we're going to come in for a little lunch, take a break from that wind, and put that battery charger on the trolling motor batteries quick and see what we've used.
That's 76%.
So we've used 24% of our charge. With sealed lead acid batteries, at 50% that's at the point where you really lose functionality. You would really struggle, especially in wind and current like this. So that discharge there from that 4-hour session basically calculates out to an 8-hour fishing day. So after lunch, we're going to turn that stealth charging system back on. We've got about a 5-minute boat ride from the boat landing to the fishing spots that we're hitting this day. And then throughout the course of the next 5 hours, we'll just fish a lot of the same spots we fished in the first session, using the motor, go from spot to spot. Most of it is, real low speed, dodging rocks, just classic river fishing.
Gorgeous sunset here at the end of the day, but we ended up putting just a little bit over 5 more hours of fishing time in. Just a couple hundred yards away from the landing. Thought I'd take a peek at the sunset and check our battery status here. We got 4 lights already.
Then at the end of the day, head home and put that battery charger back on and see how we did. How much power did we have available to us at the end of that fishing day?
90%.
That's a really nice put back of energy into those batteries. Just having that stealth charging system on for the second part of the day. If we had it on all day, we never would have dipped down as low as we did, and we'd have more charge left yet, more than 90%. So I'm confident in this situation. If I'm going out fishing the next day, the first run of the day to start fishing is going to top off those batteries. Get home from a long day battling wind and current, and all you have to do is park the boat, go to bed, get up the next day and go fishing. How awesome is that? Our next segment here takes us to beautiful Cave Run Lake in Kentucky. We have a fishing tournament coming up. We don't know this body of water very well, so we need to do some scouting before the tournament. What we could do is run around the lake, map out, mark waypoints at high speed.
I'd rather be fishing.
So we're going to do some trolling, some high-speed trolling, 2.5 to 4 miles per hour, mapping, really getting detail of what's under the surface so that we can find spots where fish might be hiding. We use the GPS in that trolling motor to maintain steering and headings, and the outboard to get the speed that we want. This style of fishing is sometimes referred to as 4-wheel drive fishing. You have a lot of great boat control attributes. It also gives you the opportunity to have freedom to move around the boat without being tied to that steering wheel or the tiller. I like to be active, moving around the boat when I am trolling. You have a remote in your hand. You take it anywhere in the boat. You can check your lines for weeds. You can pay more attention to the electronics, what they're showing you for structure, brake lines, etc. Take a lunch break, have a sandwich, just chill. This segment's spread out actually across 4 different fishing sessions. The first session, we're going to troll with our boat set up stock, 100% stock prop, no alpha, stealth turned off, and we're going to go for 4.5 hours of runtime, and at the end, check how much battery we've discharged.
75%.
So, looking at that amount of discharge, we basically would have a 9-hour fishing day. This particular day was pretty calm. 20 to 60% thrust on the trolling motor to maintain our headings that we want. Now we're going to introduce alpha as a trolling accessory. Alpha will allow us to maintain these headings, give us actually better steering response using less thrust on that trolling motor. In most cases on our boat, we can have the thrust set to 0. Now you can't duplicate conditions from one day to the next. This session, we actually had a lot more wind to battle.
Now it's blowing across the bow from starboard to port. So we're trolling across the wind with the alpha installed. I have the prop turned off. We're just letting the alpha do its thing. Watch the trolling motor in relation to that point of land ahead. I'm just going to make a quick turn into the wind and watch how the bow just boop, instantly changes direction.
But we can duplicate the condition of time. So we're going to do exactly 4.5 hours of runtime again, and then check how much discharge we've used.
97%.
That's a big difference in battery discharge. You do the difference there, you're looking at 8 times the runtime. So runtime without alpha would be about 9 hours. With alpha, that's 72 hours. So the next day, we're going to go out and put some more runtime on. I'm not going to charge up in between, just to keep going and see. With sealed lead acid batteries, you will have some parasitic battery draw. As they sit, they'll lose a little bit of their charge. We just wanted to see if we were going for several days fishing like this, could we do it without charging? And now we've got even more wind.
All right, we're going head on into a wind gusting to about 25 miles per hour. Again, the prop is turned off. Our heading lines between our GPS puck are remaining consistently even with each other. I've set a heading just to take us 50 feet away from these buoys up ahead, and there's no swaying of the bow. It's just slicing through with that alpha, just doing its thing, not bouncing it around, just maintaining the heading that you want. You hear that wind? Oh, good 40 mile an hour wind right now. Straight as an arrow.
We get back from our second session of trolling, 5 hours of runtime, and check the batteries.
91%.
So you can see we still have a lot of life left in those batteries.
Tell you what, we had some breezy conditions today with that alpha on. The reason I call it alpha is you're the alpha wolf. You're the boss. We were going across the wind, against the wind, with the wind, whatever we wanted to do. Okay? You just do what you want. You're the boss. Fish like a boss. Get an alpha.
The third session, again, no recharge in between. We're going to go out for 5.5 hours. So now we've got a total of 15 hours of runtime spread across 3 days without recharging in between.
A little while ago, we made a trolling pass across a flat. We've got 4 to 8 feet of water. Stretches about 3/4 of a mile, and it just drops off to 30 feet. Well, we've had a steady 15-mile-an-hour wind all day, pushing bait fish up in here. We marked just a ton of them on our sonar. So now we're gonna set it up a controlled drift across this, and here's what the way the alpha helps you out with that. Just take that trolling motor, point it directly towards the back of the boat, and the surface area of the alpha compensates for the weight and the surface area of your outboards that are in the water. Again, this flat's about three-quarters of a mile long. We are just a few hundred yards from the end of this controlled drift, and we have not had to make a single adjustment with the trolling motor. We've had the prop shut off the entire time, just point it at the back of the boat and drift across. It's way less time driving and more time fishing. That's what it's all about. With 15 hours of trolling, we still have 88% on.
So 15 hours of runtime spread across 3 days. We've used 12% of our charge. Calculate that out.
So we could go, that's another, basically 4 times that, so 60 hours of runtime. How many of you are fishing this way and getting 60 hours of runtime in between charges?
Okay, we've showed you how to extend runtime through a variety of fishing formats, and we've put power back into our system with the stealth charging unit. Are we self-sustaining? Up to this point, we've used electricity to give us a starting point of fully charged batteries so that we could measure how our energy demands change using some of these components. But what if we didn't have that situation to start? Let me show you how my last day on the water for this video started.
Today is going to be an awesome day on the water. Get to the boat landing, get set up. We're going to launch right about sunrise. We're going to go all day. The bite's been getting better. The weather's been improving. Water temps are on the rise. Metabolisms are kicking up after the spawn.
And then a little hiccup.
Somebody forgot to pack the sandwiches. It's going to be a long day. Quick stop here, get some convenience store junk food to sustain us. Gonna miss our sunrise launch by a few minutes.
And then things go sideways.
What the? Jeez. Picked up to 80% and we're just barely moving.
Now, you could be in this situation for any number of reasons, whether you simply forgot to charge your batteries, whether your chargers failed to charge your batteries, or you did charge your batteries and the boat sat for a really long time and they drained. I did something that it was really hard for me to do. I went out on the water a couple of days previous and ran everything harder than it really needed to be run. I had the trolling motor running 80% to 100% thrust most of the day, and I was dragging anchors to make it work harder. I had every sonar unit cranked max distance, max frequencies, max brightness, the radio louder than I usually have it. Everything I could do to drain every ounce of energy out of that system. And I had the stealth unit turned off. I didn't even run the outboard all day. All electric, all day. It took close to 12 hours of running like that to get to this situation. Now, I do have several appliances I could hook up to the batteries in a boat to draw them down, but
I'd rather be fishing.
yeah, if I'm going to do something like that, I'm going to be fishing. Doing this, drawing these batteries down pretty deeply, all of them, under 55%. The cranking battery, it wouldn't even start, it would barely trim the motors. It's just not good for your batteries. I probably cut the lifespan of my batteries by a month or so doing this. But I wanted to see, could we start in a situation like that and still spend a day on the water? And I'm talking a long day. The plan was sunrise to sunset. Well, somebody forgot the sandwiches. That was me. I did it. I was actually fishing by myself that day. So I had nobody else to blame. And typically, if you're in that situation where you can't start the motor, nothing has enough power, you got to run home, charge everything up. In my case, I was about 40 minutes from home. I would take 6-7 hours on the charger to put that energy back into the batteries, and maybe I'd get out for a couple hours at the end of the day. But it would be a lot of frustration. Having the components that we have on this boat, we feel like we can start out a day like that and still be on the water every minute of the day. And that's what we're going to do. We're bound and determined to be on the water all day and fishing into the sunset. Our first priority is we need to have the main engine in a condition where we can start it if an emergency popped up. The weatherman had called for a hot, sunny day, virtually no chance of rain. Well, the weatherman can be wrong sometimes, and he was. But our first priority is safety. We need to get off the water in a hurry. Let's make sure we can do that. I could use a jump pack to start the engine. I left the jump pack at home. I wanted to use what was on the boat. Well, I have a kicker that can be started by hand. As we got the kicker running, we just did a couple circles, about 3-4 minutes around by the boat launch, and then tried to start the main engine. Hey, all right, we got that back to life here. Now, starting it once isn't enough for me to be able to say I could depend on that the rest of the day. So, what I call a hot lap, run from one end of the lake to the other. This is a very tiny lake, 80 acres. So, it's like a 2-minute lap. And then when I'm done with that hot lap, I'm going to check my gauge on the Stealth. Your cranking battery will rebound very quickly. So I'm confident that I'm good. But we still don't have enough energy in the rest of our system, for a trolling motor and running electronics. But we have Alpha. Alpha has consistently proven to me that I can spend a considerable amount more time on the water per ounce of energy. And I also have Stealth. Stealth has proven to me over the past couple of seasons that it is a dependable charging system that will work whether I'm using my kicker or my main engine and put energy back into my system. If I were picking a window of time to fish this particular day, it would be roughly 9:30 to 11:30 in the morning. With the weather getting really hot and the moon phase the way it was, that would probably be one of the best fishing times of the day. The only way to find out is to fish all day. Let's see if we can do it. So we're going to use a kicker and the trolling motor with alpha, and we'll do some trolling. One, we'll be fishing, we'll be on the water, and two, the kicker is going to put energy back into our trolling motor, so when that peak window comes around, we're not handcuffed. We can hit the spots that we want to pick apart and have the power to do it. After 1 hour of trolling, let's check that stealth gauge, see where our trolling motor batteries are. We're gaining ground there. About 90 minutes into trolling, I'm able to start introducing more of the electronics. 2 hours into the trolling, again, checking that stealth gauge, we've got a healthy amount of voltage available in our trolling motor batteries now. By 9 o'clock, we're actually ready to start fishing the spots we want to fish during that peak fishing period. So we did it. We fished all of those spots, a few of them a couple of times, just kind of bouncing around the lake and caught some fish. About 11:30, starting to get hungry, so I'm gonna stay on the water. Switched back over to trolling and had a snack and the convenience store junk food because somebody forgot the sandwiches. A couple hours into trolling, with the sun being high in the sky and the wind just kind of died right down, I was falling asleep. So I'm just starting to learn this lake, so I cruised around for an hour or so, helped me cool off, learn a little bit more about this body of water. Mid-afternoon, of course, the weatherman was wrong. And a storm kicked up. So it's a good thing I had that main engine in starting condition. I was on the opposite end of the lake from the landing. If it would just rain, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But this was the kind of storm, when you look at the radar, it had lots of pretty colors, and there was a considerable amount of lightning. So best be safe and just get off the water. Hung out in the truck for an hour. The storm stopped and started a couple of times. Finally cleared up. Sun came back out. And the wind changed. Yeah, east wind. Fisherman's nightmare. And I was getting the 21 mile per hour part of that. But we're on the water. We're fishing. We are going to fish until sunset. So recap our time on the water that day. Launched a little after 6 a.m. By 7 a.m. we were fishing, hitting the best spots by 9 a.m. Fishing with all the power that we needed to hit that window. A couple more hours trolling, a little cruising around to cool off. Hour break for the storm that came through, and fish till sunset. All in all, a little over 14 hours of on the water time, 12 hours of fishing, and we started with a completely drained system. Just like the other segments here, check the batteries at the end of this day. Did we come home with batteries in better condition than we started with?
Cranking battery. 95. Okay, checking the trolling motor batteries. That's 73%.
We started with a pretty well depleted set of batteries. 54% was the highest charge when we started that day. Everything else was at or below 50%. And what I found a few seasons with that stealth charging system, it has a nice even charge. It evens out the percentages on the batteries. It doesn't charge too fast or too slow. It seems like the right amount of charge. Charging too fast can be a short-term gain, long-term loss as far as the health of your batteries. So I really like that aspect to it. The catch is typically muskie, pike, walleye, and some bass. All right, you busted me. Let's go back to the beginning.
To provide power for everything, we have a Group 27 cranking battery, a Group 27 24-volt bank in the rod locker, and a second 24-volt bank in a side storage compartment.
We've got two 24-volt banks. Now, this could be a way to extend your runtime on a 24-volt trolling motor. That's not why we have two 24-volt banks. When I was researching the live sonar units that are out there, I came across an interesting specification in that one brand has some units that are compatible with higher voltage, actually up to 32 volts. In previous seasons, we ran that live sonar off of just a single 12-volt bank. This season, since we already had the batteries to do it, we upgraded that to a 24-volt bank. That in itself would give us 5 to 6 days of runtime on that live sonar. And then we put a switch in between the stealth unit and the banks of batteries.
Push the stealth over to charge the live sonar batteries for a little while. Got those pumped up to over 25 volts now.
So we could charge whichever system was in need. Using the stealth gauge, using the readouts on the electronics, we're able to manage where that charge goes. Now there are all-in-one chargers out there that will do the managing for you. Again, for us, it fit our needs. So if that's something you're looking to get into, that may be more of what you need. So on this day where we started with everything drained down, we didn't just charge up the cranking battery and the trolling motor batteries. We put charge back into the live sonar batteries.
All right, on the second 24-volt bank, 68%.
That's 5 batteries that we got to a point where we could go out the next day and keep repeating that process, and we would get back to 90% or above charge levels. It's going to be a few days before I get on the water again. I am going to plug in the boat for the last time for the season. I treated my batteries pretty poorly for a few days. I'm going to do what's best for them. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned a little something about extending runtime, having more power available to you at the end of the day. And check out Alpha, brand new for 2022. If you'd like to potentially increase your runtime a little bit, here's the link for Kipwa propellers. If you would like to have more power available to you at the end of a long fishing day, here's the site for Stealth. If you'd like to come up to the Northwoods of Wisconsin, I am a part-time fishing guide. I can tailor a package for you to fit your goals. If you have any comments, questions, just drop them down below. I'll get to them as opportunity affords. But in the meantime,
I would much rather be fishing.
and now, of course, some gratuitous fish pictures and maybe an outtake.
You can do it, put your back into it.